Hey guys, StarCraft here, and despite what my thumbnail shows, yeah, I decided to shave it off. I decided to try something different, and hey, it's not going to be permanent if you guys don't want it to. You guys can make your decisions, hey, keep the beard or don't keep the beard. No, that doesn't mean thumbs up, and keep the beard and get the beard back, and sometimes mean stay clean shaven. I'm just simply saying in general, let me know. Believe me, given what I'm having lately with some people, they're probably wanting to spam my downvotes to say, no, keep it going, just to spite people. No, I'm not going to do anything like that. So, as always, you guys voted on it, and throughout this whole Batman poll, most of us were really close, so I decided to do all four of them, and let's start off with the one that was the absolute winner, and that was the Batman Vampire Elseworlds trilogy. And hold on, I just realized I forgot one other book. Sorry about that. You'll see what I was grabbing in the first place. But yeah, let's dive in with Batman and Dracula, Red Rain. I should also point out, this is one of my favorite Elseworlds. Just because one has a complete story that's actually expanded across, one could say stretched out, but I would say expanded across 3 different books that has a actual, each self-contained, but each one also having its own ongoing story that brings everything to a very tragic end. We'll get to that, but yeah, it's written by Doug Moench, who's a great Batman writer, much to his detriment if you read some other books he's worked on. It's not Batman, but Batman's involved. And Kelly Jones does the artwork with inks by Malcolm Jones III and colors by Les Dorshid, I think is how you say their name. And this will be the only time that Malcolm Jones III will be doing the inking, and Les Dorshid will be doing the colorings for this one and the follow-up, but not the third one. And there's actually an intro in here by Eric von Lustbader, who I have no idea who that guy is. I could look it up, but I never really bothered interested in looking it up. Anyway, it opens up with, in Gotham, of course, as a new newcomer comes in and meets with a, well, might as well just say it, a whore. And basically she says, come back here. Someone just junked a couch and they won't pick it up till Tuesday. You know, I don't usually ask for money, but like, if you could help me out. Oh, brother. How obvious can she be? And then, of course, the guy yells, silence. I don't give, I take. As, yup, he's a vampire and he kills her. And, but to hide the bite mark, he slashes her throat in a full circle around with his fangs as Batman shows up. And just simply says number 2, meaning it's the second person found like that. Bruce, as Batman, had found her, but then when he goes back to bed, this mysterious woman comes into his bedroom and, well, seduces him, it looks like. And it looks like she might be a vampire too, but then he wakes up and has no idea what's going on. And then he goes out in a very weird looking Batmobile. I don't get it myself. You know, just very weird, but he basically meets up, and the guards meet up with a homeless man who basically says, you know, he saw some stuff, and he's also pointing out how I got nothing anyone wants. Why would anyone bother me? And once he was gone, well, it says, you got nothing, old man? Who said that? Nothing except your blood. As he yells and Batman shows up, he's already dead. And also the mayor's announced that he's going to be running for a second term. As basically the mayor, he's a black man, and he's basically saying, I'm saying that because that's actually a part in here where he even said, do you realize what could happen to me, Gotham's first black mayor, if people start believing I can't even protect the disenfranchised city and disenfranchised of my own city? In other words, he's basically telling Gordon, keep it under wraps, don't let people know until we get this all sorted out. And Gordon, he's basically saying, he wants him to do a full-scale investigation, but keep it low-key and out of the media. And Gordon says, I'll do everything I can without seeming to do anything. Then, again, with Bruce that night, the woman shows up again. It looks like she's biting into him again, but we still don't know what's going on. As he starts to feel a little strange, but again, not sure. Then all of a sudden, a woman wakes up and attacks another woman, and is, well, biting onto her neck. As Batman confronts her, and, well, he's basically realizing, like, yeah, he thinks this is the killer at first. And yeah, she is so incredibly fast, faster than he can keep up with. He's like, it can't be. And he's got to stop her in that courtyard. But as soon as he gets there, she's gone. And he's like, how? How could you have gotten gone? But then he sees, he was able to stop them before they could slit the neck. So they basically see the puncture wounds. And, before he could be slashed. And, yeah. Basically, then he goes back to the Batcave, which is a very gothic, very huge Batcave with a huge spiral staircase. And, yeah, he's been feeling more and more uncomfortable in the daytime as it goes on. Then he has that dream again with the woman, and she's saying, vampires are real, but not all of them evil. And all of a sudden then, when Bruce decides he's going to go to the doctor to see what's going on, he goes to the car, but because it was locked and he pulls on the handle, rips it right off with incredible ease. And he was like, how did I do that? And then he, with also incredible ease, no weapon at all, lifts the car up. And yeah, he doesn't get what's going on, and yeah, alright. Basically, he checks, his blood, doesn't find anything unusual without full lab results. And then it sees something up with his shoulder blades. But we do not see what it is, but the doctor says, have you scraped or fallen on your back recently? And yeah, he just leaves his position, as we then see that Dracula is still, again, gassing up the homeless, the druggies, the people that the main regulars of Gotham wouldn't miss. Then Batman meets up with Ariana, a woman who basically is a study of the occult and the paranormal and everything. She will be a regular here, but this is the most normal she will look. Trust me, when we get to Bloodstorm, you'll see what I mean, but enjoy that. I think this is more Malcolm Jones III making her look actually very interesting. He kind of takes Kelly Jones's artwork and smooths it out. It's kind of like what Klaus Janson would do for Frank Miller, improves on it, and yet still keeps his very, like, there's something you can't avoid with Kelly Jones, like the huge ears and everything. You can't really avoid that, but basically it brings up the whole notions of what happens to a vampire. Oak stakes through the heart, silver, etc., etc. But also as they head out, it's been starting to rain blood lately, and it's very peculiar. And then he goes to Potter's Field, where Gotham provides simple graves for, basically people who are unnamed, unmarked. That's usually where a lot of people would bury people. But then they've been rising from their graves, digging their way out. Batman then follows where it would lead to, and leads to a manhole. And he, again, with incredible ease and strength that he's had before, rips off the grate, again with ease, as the red rain starts going to his eyes and sting. He makes his way down there, as he finds a whole bunch of dead bodies and a vampire. It's Dracula. And some of the other vampires get up and start to attack him. And again, I love the artwork on it. This Batman's just giving it all. He's like, but then all of a sudden, someone starts attacking the vampires, and he meets up with a woman named Tanya, who was basically the vampiress who's been meeting up with him at night, and became a red mist. But then Dracula starts to show up and give towards them, as because he had turned Tanya and the others. They're still under his control because he's the master vampire. So he forces them, telling them to shoot themselves with their own weapon, and they are fighting, struggling with it. And then Batman attacks him and drives, to have them chase after him. As this eventually leads into him being pinned, but underneath, say, yellow sunlight. Although, basically, Dracula's like, I'll just pull you back into the darkness before it can do any good harm. But then Batman using his blood makes a giant red cross. And they're at a stalemate until Dracula, he has to leave because of the dawn. And then Batman gets his way out and makes his way off as Gordon is still trying to figure out what's going on. We didn't see that, again, something's going on with Batman's back. We have no idea what, but even Alfred's is like, sir, you're back. And he goes down there and tries to find what the women, the other people. Meanwhile, Alfred is pointing out how the water is being very weird after the rain from last night. It's been contaminating the entire drinking water. So Alfred starts drinking mineral water as he thinks like, Lord help us, we're all changing. We then find out from that Tanya has been giving her blood to Bruce. Not taking his blood, but giving her blood. Because it's basically going with the notion of, you can become a vampire if you give a little of your blood and drain them all of their blood. But if you just give them your blood, and a vampire's blood, but not take anything, they will still remain in control of a vampire. Not relying on the hunger, but start to gain the traits of a vampire. And basically, she explained to him what's going on. But she also explains how, yeah, she had been turned, and but what made her snap out of it was having to go after a child. She couldn't do it, and she fled. Starting to perfect it, and started weaning herself by eating animals and creating an artificial plasma that's been able to eventually, she would toughen it out. It took her a long time, but she would, and then she would find other lost vampires and convince them to join the cause as well. But now that Dracula has come to Gotham, he's starting to act act very much different, very wrong, very out of character. And yeah, basically Batman decides we gotta tell Gordon. So we contact Gordon and tries to explain it. Gordon doesn't believe it at first. So basically Tanya goes in for an attack, shows off her fangs, and Gordon shoots her. And basically shows that and she says, had I really wanted your blood, Commissioner, 1,000 bullets could not have stopped me. And your city is facing Dracula himself. And yeah, but even Batman's like, I don't know what to do about this. Then, hold on. Oh yeah, Batman then starts to collapse as he's been suffering blood loss. And at the same time, it looks like Gordon has been abducted by Dracula. As a bunch of vampires then come into the manor and start attacking everyone. And yeah, they're attacking the whole manor. But they're able to take them out as they basically decide to formulate a plan. And yeah, we see that, yeah, there's Gordon captured by Dracula. As he soon starts to explain how when he takes people's blood, you gain a bit of the traits of them. And even says, the blood of all humans in this modern world, it's slowly driving me mad. Just as mad, I'm afraid, as your human society has become. You see, I no longer care, Gordon, and that makes me dangerous. More dangerous than I've ever been. More dangerous than anyone or anything could ever be. Gotham has changed me, Commissioner. I have become a total monster. In other words, he used to always keep himself quiet and in the shadows, but now he's got to a point where, yeah, he doesn't care. He doesn't care eventually as it goes on. Now we're getting to a point where he's ready to just take everyone out. Then Batman starts confronting a bunch of Dracula's vampires, leading them into a trap with Tanya and their people. And now remember, in the most incarnations of Batman, the Batcave is connected throughout the sewers. So eventually they're able to lead the fight to the Batcave as he makes his way up. Now Alfred is nowhere there, and it's starting to become morning as Bruce gets inside a capsule and then sets off an burst explosive that starts to seep the sunlight in, killing some of the vampires, but not all of them. But one of them has decided that there's light between Tanya and him, and he's in complete shadows. And what does she do? Goes and grabs him and drags him into the sunlight with her, sacrificing herself for Batman as he then destroys all of Wayne Manor while he's in the capsule that will protect him, leveling it all. And then yeah, people are now starting to wonder what's going on. Batman and Bruce gets his way out as he looks at his place and just is saddened. This was the only way to take out most of Dracula's forces. And then he makes his way, hold on. Yeah, he makes his way to Alfred, where basically it's a little rendition of the little townhouse that they used to be during the 70s, I believe. As, yeah, they have all the equipment they will need. And then we find out what's been going on with Bruce's back. He's been growing literal bat wings. One of Tanya's last gifts. Her giving a blood transfusion to him really kicked everything into high gear. As we start seeing Batman flying through the night, his bat wings giving him flight. As Dracula keeps on taunting Gordon, because it's just him left now. As he then cuts Gordon's neck and starts draining his blood and then sipping it. As then Alfred is giving chase to find out what's going on, and then we see more people from like the firemen or stuff trying to figure out what's going on. They get attacked, and then Batman comes in and starts to fight off Dracula. And Dracula takes on to his, eventually, well, first Batman frees Gordon, gets him out of there, and we find out that Batman's been using silver batarangs as they keep on fighting it until it takes outside, and they go into the air and take the fight to the air. Alfred's still following through as they keep on fighting, duking it out, and then even Dracula points out, Tanya did this, gave you new form, yet she let you live. She was meant to take, not give. As he bats Batman aside, even Batman admitting he's beating me away as if I were nothing more than a sparrow. And then Dracula, take your blood, take your life. Then and Batman and lightning strikes a nearby electrical pole. As Batman stabs his last batarang into Dracula's neck, heads down towards a newly made stake. As then Dracula is impaled on it and destroyed. Now, I say that right now because this would later make a little bit of a continuity error down the line, but I have a good idea of what's going on here with that one. But anyway, because Dracula drained Bruce, he is dying. And he then eventually collapses after Dracula is no more. And yeah, Alfred's like, no! And then we find out how the mayor decided he's going to step down, and even turn himself into the police, because this was his fault. He brought this on himself by worrying about himself. He only hopes that he can serve as an example. And Gordon even says, and in leaving us, he becomes precisely the man they need. As we also find out that Alfred gets a little bit of the Wayne fortune, but the rest are sent out to charities. As he then heads in, we find out Bruce Wayne is dead, but Batman will continue on forever as a vampire. And that brings an end to the first part. And again, nice, self-contained. Not really many loose ends that you would think of, but trust me, the next one does reveal there are some loose ends that make sense. And yeah, Batman defeated Dracula. Dracula's dead no more, and Batman can continue on. Still, he and Alfred can continue on as Batman and Alfred continue on. There's no Robin in this universe, at least not in these 3 books. I'll get to what I mean after we get to the end. Anyway, next we have Batman Bloodstorm, which is obviously a follow-up. Is we start to see that again, Batman has all of the strengths, even when he's been fully turned, thanks to Dracula. He still has all of the strengths, but his heart's still pure. He has not taken actual blood yet, so he still has none of the weaknesses. Sunlight makes him uncomfortable, but it won't kill him. And crosses, holy water, none of that. So basically he's able to still continue on fighting crime and taking out thugs. Until he eventually finds a woman who has neck puncture. And basically confirms what he had feared. That there were still vampires out there. That Tanya's sacrifice and her followers' sacrifice was kind of for nothing. They're still out there, just a few of them. But he believes that so long as there's no one out, no one who can lead them like Dracula, she'll be fine, and he can round them up eventually. And then so he starts killing, all the people taking their heads so they can't come back. But then, prior in the other book, we saw a brief moment. It was like a one-panel moment of a guy, hooded figure walking through. We find out who it is. It's the Joker. Sorry, couldn't resist. As he meets up with some of the remaining vampires. They're ready to eat him, but well, this little flower has holy water, and he pulls out a cross. And he even says, "There are ways to rid a cross." And yeah, basically he decides that I'll help you out. You don't hurt me, but let's work together. I can be your operative in the daytime, and we can start taking over the city. As we also see that Gordon is trying to figure out what's going on, but he's also, because he knows the truth about vampires, he knows at the same time that, yeah, something else is going on. And the vampires are still out here, but Batman's got this covered. We then see that Bruce, that artificial plasma that Tanya had made, it's losing its effect on him a little. It's doing fine right now, but eventually, Alfred. Now, you saw how Alfred worked a little bit in that one. Here, this is Kelly Jones with a different inker, and it's more Kelly Jones' traditional style. But Alfred's come up with these little bat stakes that have silver at their core. And he basically says, I was able to impassion 3 of them, sir, but now that I've mastered the knack, I should manage at least a half dozen per day. And to which he said, shall I shoot for a dozen? Daggers or not, I'll be shooting for them all. As we then find out what basically what Joker's plan is. Stop going for the weak and the homeless. They're going, and that's eventually going to run out. Let's start going for the richer folks. The more, let's start going, well, for the mobs. And then, be right back. Sorry about that. Anyways, I was saying, Bruce has a dream with Tanya, but always he dreams of him ripping her neck throat out. Yeah, things are starting to get really gory from this point on. And we then find out what, when we see that, Batman reveals to Gordon that, yeah, and we missed some of them. And if I can't hunt the rest by day, he may need help at night. I mean, if I can't help the rest by the day, he may need help in the daylight. And, yeah, basically, I even said, like, still seems like some bad dream. A nightmare, but no dream. I love moments like that. And we then see one of the vampire goons is meeting up with a mob boss. And then all of a sudden he acts like he's in panic, like, ugh. And at first he tries to say, oh, just something I drank, bad wine. And basically the guy is saying, he's basically saying, oh, or maybe you're wearing a wire and the battery's leaking and under your jacket and burning you, huh? Nah, I just dug my way out of my own grave. Ugh. And we have one where a guy jumps on a guy's face and then rips it right off. God. No bones, just like this weird mesh. I mean, see, look at it. Just look at that. It's just like a weird mesh of veins. As basically the but yeah, Joker's even saying, now you're sucking in style. No more sewer dust for this growing family of fangs. From now on, we'll live, or at least undie, like kings. And the gaudier the better, especially with an arterial decorator like you, Mr. Crutch. As we then find out how Batman's already heard about how they died, but in weird circumstances. So then he then goes to the crypt as they're waking up, and there's a guy who had his face ripped off, reattached back on, as Batman then comes in for the kill and takes them all out. They're even mocking him. Basically, the main guy is even taunting him. Hold on, gotta find where it is. Oh yeah. Batman tells him, I'm not like you. I don't take blood. No, but you sure do spill it, huh? Those fancy wooden knives, you don't even need a hammer for your steaks. Makes it faster that way, huh? Then he even says, hold on. Oh yeah, basically he taunts him, points out how the sweet and tasting nectar of blood. He even says, "Trust me, babe, there's no way you can resist forever." Me? I hated the sight of blood. Even a paper cut made me queasy. But that was before. Now the juicy nectar. And there ain't nothing I wouldn't do to get more and more of it. Till Batman finally snaps and kills him. Again, Batman is killing these guys as they're vampires. They need to be put down for good. So, and Batman's trying to keep himself in control, but just hearing those words, and he's already been weakening as it is. And he's even having this great moment. It looks like the mask is fusing to him as he's like, "Argh," just completely freaked out. Then at the same time, we see, still nighttime, a young Selina Kyle is walking through the street when all of a sudden one creeper starts to come towards her and she bolts. Until he basically decides to turn, instead of a vampire, he's a vampire, but he decides to turn into a werewolf, his werewolf form. Since vampires have been known to turning into werewolves. As he then fights her, bites her, but doesn't even drain her as she then falls into the water. But, into a river. But of course, running water. The undead cannot cross running water. As she then climbs out, very provocatively, but given how it's like, ugh, yeah, it makes some sense. As that night, then she starts to fall asleep, I should say. Even saying, "I'll feed you later. I promise I will." As the next day, we get another mobster who's being attacked, but this time it's a more direct approach, as they're all coming and biting everyone. And then Joker even says, "Don't mess up the carpet." But then he then shoots the guy, and well, he dead. And even the guy said, "So much for unbladed carpets, Joker, but I can still turn him." And, despite the hole in his head. As, basically, yeah. He then says, "Go take his girl." Just look at that weird, creepy Joker. Kelly Jones can really do creepy. I mean, just look at that. His Joker is just so, especially when it asks, like, what do we do after Gotham? He says, "We'll branch out. We'll go natural." Of course he would say that. As we then see, again, this is the very next day, very next night, as Batman and Bruce is trying to deal with the guy. Although, because this guy's now a vampire, despite his big bulky size, he's still pretty fast, as he then starts to put up a good fight against Batman. Then Joker comes in, decides to see how it's going, and then Joker's like, oops. And it's Joy's just getting too kinky for me. And Batman realizes Joker's in on this. He must be the one pushing all this stuff. And then when he sees the woman that this mobster was trying to take over, she's just standing there, still mesmerized, a perfect neck to bite into, but he says no as he gets out of there. We then find out with Selina that being bitten by the guy in the vampire in his werewolf form turns her into a werecat. Very, very, yeah. And then all of a sudden now, Joker is just it's being revealed to him how Batman's a vampire. And he even says, "Might have known, the minute I get into vampire, so does he." All of those stories about a bat monster swooping down at criminals, I was just hoping they were some misidentification of our people. Some of them, but not all. So they decided to set up a trap, as we still see Selina, Catwoman, sneakering through the woods as she sees Batman fly on through. And, well, goes in for an attack, thinking it's the guy that attacked her. She's seeing from a distance, she can't tell. As they start to fight it out a little bit, they just tussle, put a good fight. Batman gets her pinned down, ready to stab her, when he quickly realizes, like, "I've never seen you before." And they both admit, "We're both victims." And, yeah, even says, he didn't suck your blood out? Like, you mean like a vampire? No. And basically, tells her to leave, even though it's quite clear she's starting to find him appealing. But he just says, "My name is Selina Kyle, Selina Kyle, the only one in Gotham, if you do change your mind." And, because she wants to help him, because she's already feeling like there's something wrong with you, isn't there? Now, Batman is then trying to continue to perfect Tanya's formula, but he can't. He even says, "Tanya has centuries to perfect her formula. There's no way I can improve it overnight. No way to make it state the search." Yeah, I do like that, how Tom and Doug Moench, despite how he's always made Batman a bit more so the bad guy than other versions where he's the most awesomest guy. Even here, the case where Batman, no, he's constantly struggling. Now we meet up with Ariana again, and well, hold on. Let me bring up and remind you how she looked like last time. Here's how she looked like last time. And this is not that long ago in universe. Then you see her. What the hell happened? You know what I mean? And she basically starts to this, and now this is the most useful she is, more so than even the first book, and a lot more than she would be in the third book. As in this case, she then starts to explain everything, how with the vampires, what be causing all this, how can also a were creature work, as and basically points out how, you know, why does it with the moon affecting everything, and even says the moon's gravity affects the ocean tides, and if our bodies are 70% liquid, can the moon create tides within us? Something within our bloodstream, hormones, enzymes, etc., and the victims and the blood of werebeasts, kind of pulling on the tides. Basically, and I love it how you're good, Ariana, but I'm not sure I buy it. Hell, I'm not sure I'm selling it. But then when it's pointed out how can a I also loved it. I was satisfied of where creatures existed before I darkened your window. Vampires too, it seems. Personal experience? Very personal. Why did you always end up giving me the creeps? You studied the supernatural, Ariane. I'm living it! And basically then, when it's pointed out how a vampire, well, their thirst is their strongest urge, that which defines them. And when he's saying, like, am I in danger right now? No. Are you? Yes. Then whatever may passes for God in your heart, take mercy on your soul. That is your answer! And then she basically explains to him, there are myths about selfless love of a woman easing a compulsion, but in the end, the vampire is alone, taking blood, not because he wants to, but he has no choice, because ultimately, he can do nothing else. As Batman flees, flying off, Ariana even wondering, why did you tell him the truth? Because he needed to hear it. And then Joker goes to a church, where he meets up with a priest, even saying, I've sinned big time. Explains everything that's going on, and then he kills the priest, deciding he's going to take over and use it for his perfect trap for against the Batman. As Batman is more and more starting to become, you know, unhinged, to the point where he's saying, like, the serum, not enough anymore. He even tells Gordon and Alfred to leave. Do not tempt me. Get out. And as he does, eventually then, even Alfred goes to Gordon saying, I am very worried about the master, sir. He's afraid that he's losing himself. As Batman even takes on a rat and chomps on it, killing it, but he's realizing, no. He's even saying, I cannot do this alone. And I am denied help from you. It must come from another. As we see Catwoman cleaning herself, and again, the artwork here is just so good with the coloring. And she meets up with Batman, and just Batman's like, he's like, I do need help. And she basically helps him to her place. As the next day, they feel perfectly fine. And they decided, even points out how, my name's Selena. It means child of the moon. Feeling better? As he's actually starting to feel a lot better being in the comfort of a woman. Someone who's already starting to fall for him. Again, it could be, as Ariana pointed out, the moon and everything, hormones mixed in with their vampire's nature. But then Batman finally calls Alfred and Gordon and points out what's going on. How basically he can deal with the Joker, but the Joker's going for all the mob bosses. And basically, obviously, the vampires, they're helpless at daytime. So he then decides to, he says, let me get a bit more information, then you guys can get ready to take care of it all. Form a little vampire hunting duo. And then we see the next day, we see Selena is teaming up with Bruce as they go in to fight off a bunch of vampires. But then Bruce didn't realize they were feeding, as Selena is completely just distraught by it all, and she just goes into a rampage as they take them all out, and even points out how almost every vein has been bitten. And the two women, the victims, even saying, Bruce says, already drained, Selena. Dead but infected. So they take them all out, even going to death in peace. And take their heads as well to make sure that they don't have to, they don't come back. And even says, I was right. No more random predations. Their tactics are more organized now by the Joker. And basically points out how, yeah, it's all these criminals. So the very next day then, and as the night goes on, Bruce stays with Selena, and again, their comfort, her comfort is aiding him. As throughout the daytime then, Gordon and Alfred go through and start staking all the vampires, killing them all while they're still useless. Although even Alfred's starting to feel queasy about it. But then the other vampires are basically saying, hey, you promised us, Joker, you promised us, and shut up, alright, how many of us are left? Just the ones they moved into the church basement, which, counting him, is just 15, which is still plenty for the trap, as Joker points out. Basically decided, we'll take him out. This is our last chance, and going. As, yeah, Bruce and Selena come in for the charge, they start fighting them all off. Then Trina Crutch was the one that went after Selena. And he freaks and he's like, gotta get out of here, gotta transform. As he does, and she realizes it's him. As she then tackles him and rips out his heart. And then Joker's saying, well, that sure showed a lot of heart, Crutch, idiot. And then Joker then shoots a wooden stake right at Batman, but Selena takes it in the heart. And yeah, she ends up dying. And even Batman says, not even made of silver, as he lets out an anguish yell. And and basically all the vampires are dead. Now it's just the Joker left. As basically, Batman puts up a fight, gives chase to the Joker as they go underneath the church. And the Joker basically thinks like, gotcha, now burn, burn, burn. And Batman says like, oh yeah, freeze, bloodsucker, and eyeball all the crosses. Crosses coming off the wazoo! I see them, Joker, but they don't bother me in the least. They don't? Why not? Because my heart is still pure. It is, thanks to the woman you just murdered, I have yet to taste human blood. But you're a vampire. You freeze gorge on plasma. You bloat and your cells bloody. Only the weak ones. And then he shoots him with holy water. Holy water! Oh, yes. Refreshing. No, you can't have the strengths of a bloodbath and none of the weaknesses. But I can, thanks to the selfless love of a woman. You killed her, my long night soul companion. You killed her caring, the one only thing that kept me sane. And basically, Joker taunts him, saying, fine, take my blood, take it all. And then Batman snaps the Joker's neck. Basically, yeah, he kills him in a single blow. But even though Batman, whether or not Joker is still barely alive or it's just his hallucination, it's taunting him, seeing his neck as Batman's trying to fight it all off. He's like, no, I can't do this, no. But he gives in and takes the Joker's blood. And notice how Batman's skin, if you can see it in the coloring, it still looks pretty fleshy. As he then takes the blood. But then as we see it, he continues to devour it until finally he goes pale. As now, and the crosses start to burn him. But he still has enough strength to take the Joker and take his head and leave, his one and only victim. As basically, it's starting to feel like he's now no better. The Joker's blood is pumping through him as he realizes, no, this is not good, I can't do this. Because basically now that he's fully turned, it's going to get worse. So he leaves a note for Alfred saying he failed. The work of the serial killer, meaning that what Gordon and Alfred have done, must take one more victim. It's going to be Bruce. As they stake him that night. And Batman believes to die. His last words saying, peace forever. As he's staked. And Gordon and Alfred leave. Ending the second one. And again, gives a bit of finality. Really wraps up all the loose ends. And you think, that's it. But notice, Batman didn't fade away or dissolve. Now, this came out in 1994. We would then... Oh, I gotta get something ready. Where is it? Just a moment. Sorry about that, but like I said, it's and then eventually in 1999, 5 years later, it was then decided to do it one more time and bring some absolute closure. Now you're wondering, wait, how much closure can you have? You'll see. And I guess Doug Mullock and Kelly Jones decided they had one more story to tell. Now, like I said, by this point the coloring is by Gregory Wright, and you'll see a significant difference. As it opens up with Batman. Turns out he can still think, but he cannot move. He's basically stuck in an I must scream state, where he's basically like, my mind is constantly going, but even though the stake is in my heart, they never took my head. And basically he is now trapped within there. The bloodlust is all-consuming, yet he will never consume again. He is a predator unable to prey. In other words, the bloodlust has been continuing on in his mind, eating at him even when he's just in a frozen state. Now, here's the big question. So apparently a stake doesn't kill a vampire, so long as they don't take the head. Well, one, that makes Selina's death in the last book completely pointless. Now, granted, she didn't know that. Basically, Batman, he didn't know it until this point. But the other thing is, what happened with Dracula? I mean, granted, it was a much bigger stake, but that killed him utterly, completely, and yet it should not have. Maybe because it was Dracula. Maybe because lightning struck it. Maybe because lightning, I think, struck him further after he got, stabbed. Maybe it's because, who knows? But yeah, that's a little bit of a continuity hiccup where you're like, wait, we've already seen a stake that completely uttered Dracula without needing to take his head, and yet here it's necessary. But as you see, over the years, Batman is completely decayed. As we see him like bony, everything else about him is basically down to the bones. I was going to find out that Alfred is, he's basically being tormented still by what he had to do to his master, and to Master Wayne. We then see Two-Face, as this is right after he's been burned. Harvey he's become Two-Face, and look at that. See what I mean about the coloring? Very different, very more Technicolor as they get out of there, and even we have the doctor saying, sometimes I think that the acid reached the left side of his brain. We then see another whore seducing a man, but this time she's a bit more like open about it, not trying to put on a lie like the first woman, but this is in front of a Thomas Wayne memorial. What the hell? All of a sudden, now I gotta say this about Kelly Jones. Aside from Selina, a lot of his women just look a little fugly, if you ask me. That's probably the one criticism I can give him. Selina looked really good, but here, not so much. But anyway, the lid has popped up as all of a sudden the woman is grabbed through. It's Killer Croc as he then chomps down on her chest, even saying, did he even digest her last meal? Burger and cheap booze. As he basically chowed down on her and left her remains. Ugh. This is going to be the goriest it is. We also then see a version of the Scarecrow who's leaving fear, but he also full on taunts with a little sickle and kills the guy he's after. Yeah, everyone has gotten much darker in this universe. As we then see Batman, we're even seeing maggots climbing through him, as again, his mind just keeps on going. Again, it's like, am I still in the crypt beneath the brownstone? I don't know. All I remember is the soft yield of flesh to fang, the gush of sweet life filling me with power. In other words, he's still remembering when he took the Joker. It's just constantly just going through his mind. As time goes on and we still have the blood rain going through. We also then find out about Penguin is deadlier than ever. There's Poison Ivy. And then there's Harvey becoming Two-Face. Mention of Scarecrow and Killer Croc are basically saying Gotham has gone to hell. And they wish that they could have him back. And Batman's probably the only one who could stop him. And, the bodies are piling up. There's no vampires, but it's becoming almost just as bad as when the vampires were around. And basically, what does Alfred decide to do? He goes down there and pulls out the stake, getting Batman's blood pumping. And he's even saying, "You fool, you did not take my head! And don't you realize what you've done? You've loosened my blackened heart to pump the foul blood sucked from the bloat Joker's black heart." And basically, Garner's trying to say, you're still the man inside. Your heart has always been good and noble. Batman's just saying, no, it's not. It has become, it's become evil and foul, and I will never let you and Gordon pierce it again. And basically, he even said, like, I was already dead. And he cannot bear it, but it's what he deserved. And basically even says, like, Gotham doesn't need another monster. But Alfred says, no, sir, I believe you're wrong, as he explains everything. Even offers to give him his blood. But Batman refuses it. He knocks Gordon and Alfred aside and then turns into blood mist. And even taking on a monstrous bat form. Yeah, he's become full-on vampire. And I love it how, and Gordon's like, Pennyworth, how could you? Yes, I know. Yes, of course I understand, but calm down, Alfred. It's done now. The stake is out, and he didn't kill you. So maybe you were right not to cut off his head. Maybe there's enough in humanity in him to do what must be done. And yeah, actually, Gordon is kind of right, as Batman comes in and starts attacking everyone. And Penguin and his men are no match. As hold on, let me go back. Oh yeah, Penguin even killed a guy using his umbrella. But then Batman takes care of him and rips out his throat. And I love this, how he has the monocle now on his eye. You can barely see it, but it's right there. It's kind of funny how it's on his face now, as he then starts attacking everyone else, leaving their heads and going in. The monocle's still in his eyes. He goes and finishes off the rest of the Penguin's crew. First your blood, then your heads. As they decided to use the bat signal, summoning Batman, who again is still calling them like, you think you can still summon me, Gordon? As if it were old times? As if I were still alive and you had a too difficult clue in your hand? We had to, the riddle, and you had to leave me where I was, in the blackness, but you didn't. And basically he stops them, and then as he reads through, the Riddler's little clue. Yep, the Riddler's even out there. And he basically, they're trying to still believe they're still good Batman, but he keeps on telling him, no, you just plunged this signal and city in the darkness. And basically, I'm going to do what must be done. As he takes off. And then we see Riddler. Look at that. He stitched a question mark into his face as he kills a guy in the morgue. But then Batman shows up and she shoots him and, takes out the Riddler next. And then then Scarecrow goes after another person. Gas does nothing on him, saying you don't know what true terror is, as he beheads Scarecrow. We then see that Two-Face shows up to Killer Croc and his men, and then decide what they're going to be planning on doing. We then see Poison Ivy, and see what I meant about with him, and especially in this one, Poison Ivy just looks a little off. Like, look at that image. Does that look like a beauty? Not really. It's like, Now, the only time where she looks fine is right here. But then, basically Batman, he starts to seduce her and then rips her throat out because she's gotten just as deadly. And I love this. It's like, and now, Ivy, at last, I will kiss you. No, my plans, withering, dying all around you. Stay back. What's the matter, Ivy? You've always wanted me. No, not like this. But this, Ivy, is the only way I could want you. In the darkness and decay of corruption. As I said, he rips her throat out and bites into her neck and then takes her head. Basically, just like he was fearing he was going to do, he did to Tanya in his nightmare in the last book. As, again, Alfred and Gordon keep on singing like, no, this is different. He's just going after the guys we told him about. But then it's like, no, this is going to get bad. This is going to get worse. And, yeah. And basically, then they decide what they're going to do next. But Alfred's already prepared himself. As then, we then see up on the rooftop, Harvey and Croc are ready to make a deal with them. Basically saying, we will all stop him. Only we can do it because he wants us and you want him dead, clearly. And at first they're thinking like, nope, we can't do this. There's no way we're going to take him up on his offer. And they can't go to the feds, of course. They would just throw him right into Arkham. And then, and of course, Alfred's still trying to hold on to the whole notion of vampires are real, but not all of them evil. But yeah, it's clear Batman, he's already taken down the people that he was awakened to deal with. But then he just, and then there's also Black Mask. He goes after him, attacks them, and yeah, takes them all out until, and then he takes all of their heads, flies off, and we find, and we, as we see, it turns out Batman's now making his home back at the former Batcave underneath the remains of Wayne Manor. We then find out he decides to taunt Blackie Penitentiary with Black Mask and all of his men's heads on the spikes, freaking them all out like, ah! As they're all like, as some kind of warning. But then that night in Arkham, he goes there, and he arrives first at Amygdala. He was this big brute of a guy back in the 90s. I don't remember him during Nightfall, and he's his first one. I guess starting with A. As he then takes Amygdala's blood. One of the nurses is like, that sounds like Amygdala again. What's his problem this time? And if you notice, when Batman's a Crimson Mist after eating, he's now dripping blood as he goes for Mad Hatter next. Now the woman is starting to freak out, running like, Mad Hatter too? As she then heads down there, and we're seeing other ones. I think this one's Cornelius Sturck, but they never specify. He's a cannibal. And, you know, the woman, you know, keeps on screaming. You know, she's falling through as Jeremiah Arkham is just writing in his diary, being all like, would they ever just shut up? Then we go to Zaz, I believe saving him for last, as he leaves a mark ripping right through him. As the nurse shows up and gets splattered with blood. As she then runs to tell Jeremiah, and then Zaz's head is thrown through with a note right on top of Jeremiah's diary, as it says, go home, your work is done. And then Jeremiah's last words for this is, and the final page, written red. As he then leaves, he's full on blood. As now, because of all this, Gordon realizes we must take up Harvey on his offer. There's really no other option. As, yeah, they decide to make up their trap in the Batcave since Batman's not there. They decide to set up explosives everywhere. And basically he will be used, and they will use the perfect bait, Alfred. And they will use the sun. They will decide to leave everything down there. As it looks like, and Batman is actually listening in, but he leaves. As he goes back to Ariana again. Now, let's go through this again with this woman. Here she was in the first one. Nice, sweet, innocent. Then you see her in this one. She's a bit more gotten older, a bit more wrinkled and everything. Especially right here, where she looks more like an older woman. Now, you want to see her in this one? What the hell happened to her? He basically comes up there and tries to make a, talk to her and ask her, like, can a vampire truly die if the sunlight? And basically, yeah, she serves no point other than to give her one last shot, as, even saying, like, if you're asking whether atoms possess consciousness, you better consult a scientist, or maybe a master of Zen philosophy, or useless, all of you, as he flies off. And, yeah, she was pointless in this one, at least in the other two, especially the second one. She had a much better role. In this case, it just feels like, again, we've had her in the first two, let's give her one more appearance, and it's done in 2 pages. And then we start to see as Batman, he's starting to think back on Tanya and Selina, but he's thinking more negatively, like they were weak, they were foolish, telling you just how far gone his mind is going. He then starts to wonder, how much longer before I stop taking heads? How much longer before I start taking brides? How much longer before I make a family that's even larger than the cult of Dracula? Not long. And he's trying to fight it all off, but he's like, I am death, and so I bring it. As then we see, again, Gordon's working with Harvey, and but it's clear that Gordon and Alfred know they're going to betray us. We better start getting things ready for that. And once Batman's gone, he's going to start betraying them all. As we then see Batman, sure enough, comes in, fights Killer Croc. Killer Croc's skin is way too tough even for Batman to fight, which basically gives Batman the opening to start wailing in on him. And Gordon gets in a shot, and Croc throws him right off. But the moment he does, Harvey and Croc turn on them all as they start to go after them. And obviously a regular stake is not going to do anything, as some of the men are starting to, as he takes out one of, they start taking out Harvey's men. We then see Croc is chasing after Alfred as, again, Gordon just keeps on sniping Two-Face's men as he's basically saying, "You hear, Gordon? You missed us. The relentless prosecutor and his evil twin are still coming, and we're after final judgment, cop, the death penalty." Then we see Alfred trying to find Batman as Batman makes his way up. As Gordon is starting to be, he's trapped into a corner by Two-Face. As Batman comes up, he is too weakened. He can't, face them. So Alfred then says, "Use my strength. Take my blood. Just make sure I don't come back." And, well, he does. Batman then takes Alfred's blood, and I love this. Croc is stomping through, and all of a sudden Alfred's head lands nearby, distracting him as Batman flies up, grabs a stalagmite, and stab right into Croc. Basically revealing that Alfred's pure blood, not the evil blood. Because remember what Dracula said in the first one. Gotham's blood was changing him. Same too was Batman, as he was taking all of the crook's blood. He was becoming more and more evil. But taking Alfred's blood was just giving him that little shiny arm of good, as he takes care of Croc. And then he goes after Two-Face, taking two of the stake arrows, and then uses them to take and a stab in each of Two-Face's faces. But then he decides, and then he turns out with Gordon, he says, "I saved you for last." But then I love this bit when it's "Wake up, Gordon, you damn mortal fool! Kill me or join me, become me, and if you do, no one will ever stop us. Time will be ours, and we will take them all. Billions, Gordon, one crime fast feast after another, ocean of blood, until the whole world is drained dry. And only when all the wolves are sheep, only when everyone is like us, bloodstained and depraved, only then will it finally stop. Only then will we starve ourselves into nothingness. Earth's ultimate predators, rendered extinct only by our complete and total success. Kill me now, Gordon, or help me exterminate the human race. You hear me? I won't be able to resist much longer, Gordon." And basically revealing that, yeah, he knows that if Gordon didn't stop him and just lets Batman turn him, they would take out and turn everyone on Earth into vampires, causing them to basically wipe everyone out, because eventually once they're all vampires, there's no blood to drink, they'll just die. But then he tells Gordon to use the detonator and set it off, as Gordon then starts running in towards the exit. But then turns out Gordon set a bit too much explosive, causing a cave-in that lands right on Gordon and kills him. A cave-in. And now with everyone dead but Batman, and the sun is still rising and shining in, Batman is standing by, looking on, as he then walks right into the sunlight. And he is wondering about the unknown fate of nothingness as his cave flutters, as we see dead Gordon and Alfred. Finally, it all comes to an end. And this makes the whole thing more of a tragedy than even the ending of the second one. Just to see Batman become such a monster, trying to do right, but at the same time, it's utterly pointless in the long run. And yeah, you just feel so bad for everything. Again, continuity, there's more continuity in this one than the second one, probably because with a 5-year gap, whereas between 1 and 2, it was a 2-year gap. And but at the same time, though, it's still a fitting finish, if you ask me. Taking care of so many of the remaining Batman rogues galleries, Kevin Batman being finally brought down and taken care of, it felt just so kind of, again, tragic. Now, here's the thing, though. The Vampire Batman ended up becoming one of the most popular of the Elseworlds. We'd eventually have him, and because you would see him pop up whenever time there was multiversal stories, he would pop up. He would always be there. Even right down to the Batman had the little Batman vs. Dracula. It obviously wasn't going to go to the same full extreme of the book where Batman becomes a vampire, but it does have a moment where he does dream and have a nightmare of it, and he looks very Kelly Jones-like. And eventually you would have him appear like in Countdown Arena, where people voted on certain people who would become, the Batman, and or not the Batman, but the different multiversal heroes who would win, and wouldn't you know it, he would win his, but it would be for pointlessness because one, this whole thing, the continuity of all this arena and everything countdown is already up in the air, and given how things go in countdown, yeah, his victory in this was pointless too. And then you would even have him appearing during the hunt for Ray Palmer. First, in a little story that happened in a Halloween story, which was basically this is a separate continuity. This is more in the DC multiverse version of things, because you see Mad Hatter is still alive, wasn't killed. Batman is still flying around as we see Batman kills Dick Grayson's parents. Yeah. And then we cut to when it then goes into the actual tie-in where you have the Monitor, I should say, Red Hood, Green Lantern, and Donna Troy all show up. They're trying to find Ray Palmer. And when they do, we see that Dick Grayson is now older. It meets up with Barbara Gordon, who's a vampire, and well, he kills her. Takes her right out as, yeah, see? And, basically then Donna shows up, sees, Barbara, because they were friends, they feel like she was murdered. But then Jason pointing out, you're like, no, vampires, obviously they're real. We gotta do something about all this. And, basically then, I mean, okay, now look at this artwork. This is when you have Eric Battle and some other people with, doing the artwork here. As we then see that Dick Grayson, he's trying to hunt down Batman. And the story on this one is, I'll be honest, it's not that good. As, basically, Batman's asleep, and everything. There's no Alfred staked him or anything like that. And then Dick is about ready to do it. The others interrupt everything, distracting him. But then he finds out for some reason he can't do it, leaving Batman a chance to bite him and fly off with him. And then the others decide, well, let's just leave. Yeah, kind of pointless, but basically ends with now Batman having a vampire Robin. Very nice to see Kelly Jones draw this, though, if I do say so myself. And it's so interesting, but again, this whole thing was kind of pointless. Just showing how things are still, there's a vampire universe that's still going out there. Then during Grant Morrison's Multiversity, there was then an entry that said how there's an entire Vampiric Justice League, which I would love to see someone do with that. But basically, yeah, there's a reason why that's one of the most popular, because it's one of the earliest, it's one of the most recognized, and you have Kelly Jones's artwork, Kelly Jones's artwork, on most things, it's always weird, especially, again, those giant ears, but for some reason in these versions, it just fits. You don't even think much about the giant ear because of the Gothic setting. It's just like, well, why not? It's just fitting. But, yeah, that's the Bam Bam Vampire Trilogy. And, yeah, it's still one of my favorites. I adore all the pieces. I think the writing and the artwork is very good. Beginning, middle, and end. And it deserves its place in being recognized as one of the more popular, right up there with Dark Knight Returns Batman. So, yeah. Now, I'm not going to be doing my next story spotlight until, well, I'm still doing it tomorrow, but my next video today is going to be something else. I got a book in it I ordered because I decided to back another book, a follow-up to this one, and this might cause me some controversy given who's involved with it, but I don't care. I enjoyed it. So, tune in next as I go over My Hero Macadamia. See you then.